For this plan, we are responding to the intentional outbreak of norovirus at several Chipotle locations throughout the eastern U.S. For this plan, we have the Animal Agricultural Alliance, who is responsible for these attacks. And they'll be infecting various locations with norovirus in places such as Washington, D.C., Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, Orlando, New York City, and Boston. And the reason for this is AAA is retaliating against Chipotle's marketing schemes that show the poultry industry and the agricultural industry in a bad light. The motive for attack in this case is the Animal Agricultural Alliance took great offense to a commercial previously aired by Chipotle. Said commercial blatantly discredited the agricultural industry by showing animals being milked in metal crates and chickens being subjected to a variety of injections. The AAA is dedicated to promoting the agricultural industry in a positive light. For this attack plan, 20 members of AAA are participating in the attack. There will be 4 groups, each of them consisting of 5 members. The attacks will begin in Washington, D.C. and trickle up and down the eastern U.S. coast. Each of the 4 groups will attack 4 locations in each city. And the norovirus itself will be contained in a spray bottle and sprayed throughout the men's and women's bathrooms at 40 different Chipotle locations. The goal of this attack is to infect over 4,000 people. Norovirus itself is the most common cause of foodborne disease outbreaks in the U.S. As we already know, it's also extremely contagious, and it is very easily spread from an infected person, food, contaminated water, or any other type of contact with any other type of contaminated surface. Often, norovirus causes inflammation of the stomach and or the intestines, and often results in symptoms such as stomach pain, nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting.
A member of the attack team has a spouse that works in a hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is extremely important because there was recently an outbreak that occurred in Charlotte, North Carolina, meaning there are positive samples in the area. Those samples will be taken and removed from the hospital and taken to the headquarters in Washington, D.C. Then the samples will be diluted with water and mixed with an aerosol solution that will not kill the virus. This mixture will then be put into an empty and sterile can that has a nozzle. They will be labeled as Lysol, and the attackers will then spray them in the bathroom locations and intending for people to get sick. We then looked at the best way to prevent an attack like this. The best thing to do would be to work with the hospitals and to make sure that they have really good record keeping. This would ensure that samples do not leave the premises. Additionally, doctors should be checked before exiting the building to make sure they aren't carrying any bacteria samples. Also, Chipotle should make sure that if an employee appears to be sick, they should not go into work, and they should also make sure that employees are washing their hands after using the restroom. Surveillance is also a major component of this attack plan. Locations should be tested for norovirus on a regular basis. This can be done with a variety of tests, but the CDC explains that the RT-qPCR assays test is the most beneficial and it's the most widespread, meaning most locations can do this test. Additionally, medical officials should ask where patients have eaten or been in the past 24 to 48 hours if they're coming in with symptoms similar to those of norovirus. This will allow us to determine where they had eaten and if there's a correlation to that. Also, after the results come back, the location should be closed for at least 2 days and sanitized. This can be done with a bleach and water solution, which is not only cheap but very effective. Also, they should check to make sure that the outbreak occurred either from an employee or unsafe food practices. This will allow them to figure out if it was an attack or if it was just because of bad food handling techniques. Finally, cameras should be installed outside of the bathroom and behind working areas to make sure that people are washing their hands and acting accordingly. The major objectives for the response plan would be to control the outbreak, determine the cause, and inform the public. Most likely, this will occur at the management level, and it won't need to be taken to the president or governor. They will just need to clean the premises and ensure that sick employees take days off. Additionally, they should identify the cause and origin, which can be done by virus genotyping. The resources needed will be cleaning supplies and access to lab tests.
For the cost estimates of our response plan, individual Chipotle locations make around $2 million per year. If you break that down, that's $5,479 per day. These locations will have to take 1 to 2 days to be cleaned, therefore they will be closed. The locations will lose approximately $11,000 from closing. Cost to clean ranges from $40,000 to $100,000, which is a median cost of $70,000. Paid sick days average of 24 employees per location. If 12 people get sick at $9.20 an hour at a 7-hour shift, that is $30,000. The cost of preparing and preventing. The recovery period is 1 to 3 days, and it will affect 19 to 21 million people in the USA each year. You can disinfect an area relatively cheap. This is not an issue that should be covered by the governor or president, but it should be addressed by the individual's restaurants. It is very unlikely that norovirus would be able to spread throughout various Chipotle's bathrooms in these different states using spray cans filled with this bacterium. It would be hard to remove the samples from the hospital as tight as security is these days. The Animal Alliance members would also probably get too sick to carry out the attack on all of these locations. However, in general, norovirus is common and could occur naturally from unsafe food handling or employee illness.